Yes, sirree. I'm not frickin' blind, guys. It's Gweilo style.
I think it's Thursday.
You could die.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Geez, you know, oh yeah, because it goes on and on and on. For all you haters, there's something to chew on for the next couple of minutes.
Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. You see what's going on in Taiwan right now with the Americans smoozing them, and you know, it's like giving candy to a baby. It's that easy. You've got to understand that politicians in some countries are dumb as stumps, and I think that's what's the problem in Taiwan right now. Or there's ulterior motives, but you've got to look back on the history of the United States in dealing with other countries, or in Taiwan's case, just a territory, a province of China that would not be out there, would not be a breakaway province of China if it wasn't for American interference back in 1949 when they put the 7th Fleet in between the communists and the KMT as the KMT ran to Taiwan after losing the Civil War. I've already made a video about that. That's not what this video is about. But the idea that the Americans will turn their backs on the Taiwan people, the Chinese Taiwan people, when it becomes too much for them. When they have to give more than they're willing to give, when they get what they want out of Taiwan, they'll turn their back on Taiwan like they have on every other ally they've ever had in history. Let's start with the Kurds in Syria. The Americans were on the ground, boots on the ground, with the Kurds in Syria, fighting, and they were there because they wanted the oil. There's always something that they want, and with Syria, it's the oil. But when it became not politically correct, when it became something that the voting public in the United States didn't want to see anymore, they didn't want to spend the money, they didn't want to lose their young men and young women for a cause such as this. The American government turned their backs on the Kurds to be slaughtered. Yes, to be slaughtered. They're allies, a stab in the back, and that's the way it was. How did Trump say this? We're not. Well, just a second. Let's put this clip up.
But we never agreed to, protect the Kurds. We fought with them for 3.5 to 4 years. We never agreed to protect the Kurds for the rest of their lives. Remember this, when Iraq was fighting the Kurds, everybody thought we were going to fight with the Kurds. I said, well, it's a little strange that we're fighting with the Kurds when we just spent $4 trillion on Iraq, and now we're going to be fighting Iraq. So what I did is I said, we're not going to take a position. Let them fight themselves. I thought the Kurds would do very well. Everyone said, oh, the Kurds will do very well. Well, Iraq moved in and the Kurds left. They didn't fight because they didn't have us to fight with. A lot of people are good when they fight with us. When you have $10 billion worth of airplanes shooting 10 miles in front of your line, it's much easier to fight. But with that, they were a good help, but we were a great help to them too. They were fighting ISIS. They hated ISIS, so they were fighting ISIS. But we never agreed. Where is an agreement that said we have to stay in the Middle East for the rest of humanity, for the rest of civilization?
We've been talking to Turkey for 3 years. They've been wanting to do this for many years, as you know. They've been fighting each other for centuries. They've been fighting each other for hundreds of years. This has been going on. We were put into this battle. Kurds are fighting for their land, just so you understand. They didn't help us in the Second World War. They didn't help us with Normandy, as an example. Steve?
These ISIS fighters escape and pose a threat elsewhere.
Well, they're going to be escaping to Europe. That's where they want to go.
To just abandon them like that so the Turks can come in and slaughter them is not just immoral. I mean, it taints our reputation all over the world.
Obviously, they never gave any promises that they were going to take care of them forever and ever and ever, so they could just walk away whenever they wanted. And the Kurds looked at the United States like they had been deceived, and they had been deceived, and that's just the way of it. Well, the same thing. look at Vietnam, for instance, just a policing action for sure. 58,000 American troops died in that policing action. The Americans call it the Vietnam War and the Vietnamese call it the American War. Who do you think is telling the truth? But when it became too much, when it wasn't politically correct anymore, when too many people were dying, when the cost became too much, when the politicians wanted to get voted in again, and it wasn't in their interest anymore to be doing what they were doing in South Vietnam, because they wouldn't get the votes when Kent State National Guard were shooting students at Kent State, and there were riots in the streets of America. It became clear to the politicians that, oh, if we want to be here next year, 5 years from now, we better pull out. They didn't give a rat's ass about the South Vietnamese people that had been working on behalf of the American government and the American military during that time and what would happen to them, just like they didn't give a rat's ass about the Kurds as they walked out and the Kurds were slaughtered. Yeah. And then you get into a place like Afghanistan. You knew I was going to go to Afghanistan. Wait till I get to Ukraine. But you get to Afghanistan and a war on terror. They were blaming Afghanistan for the airplanes into the Twin Towers and the terrorist attack on the United States and the Bin Laden and this and that. You notice that Saudi Arabia walked away as an ally from that, and I think 3/4 of the people that were in that plot, terrorist plot against the United States, if you believe that, a lot of people think it was the American government that did it so that they could, go to war against Afghanistan and the ISIS and Al Qaeda's of the world, basically people that they had created in the past. But that's another story. So they walk into Afghanistan and they wage a 20-year war in Afghanistan. 20-year war. That's a long time, and they had interpreters. They had people that helped the American military. They had all of this stuff going on, and as soon as it became, you got it, not politically in their best interests to do this anymore, they got up. In the middle of the night in Afghanistan, the last troops left in the middle of the night and didn't even tell their Afghani brothers and sisters what the hell was going on. So they left these people in a lurch. And a lot of them were probably slaughtered because of their affiliation with the American military. A lot of them probably, well, who knows what happened to a lot of these people. But they were stabbed in the back. They were taken advantage of by the American people, the American politicians, the American military, and then discarded as garbage at the end because it wasn't in their best interest to take care of these people. Although they were promised, all of these people that helped the American military were promised visas to the United States if they helped out. Where were these visas? They were nowhere to be found because, hey, they just got up and walked away. And did you get that in writing, guys? You know what I mean? It's one of those things. Now you're getting into the Ukraine world where they're backing the Ukraine. They're sending billions of dollars over there, and Russia's got a much larger army. They've got more troops, higher population. They've got all of the things that the chances of the Ukrainians winning this war is 0 to none. But they'll sell the Ukraine weapons and they'll take that $600 billion that they stole from Russia to help pay for these weapons. And this is just the way that they do business. It's the same as it was in Vietnam and Afghanistan and Syria. So when you see what's going to happen to the Ukraine, and this is going to come up pretty damn quick, guys. It's I think we're at day 500 and some right now. Chances are it won't get to day 700 before the shit hits a fan. It'll all be over, and it'll be an ugly end, and everybody will say, "Oh, and there'll be not an American in sight. I guarantee you they'll all have tucked their tail between their legs and ran all the way home, and that's the way it is. So when you get into, and you got to, before I even go on any further, you got to look at all the politicians of these small countries and places that are manipulated by the American government. None of these people are real politicians. Look at Zelensky in the Ukraine. He's a freaking comedian, guys. He's easy to manipulate. He's easy. Everybody says he's a cokehead. He's always touching his nose, and stuff like that. And I believe that. By watching some of the videos, I believe that. But this guy's a comedian. He's an idiot, and easily to manipulate, and easy to point in different directions and do the bidding of the American government. All right. It's just the way it is. Now you get into the DPP in Taiwan. It's the same thing. You've got people there that can be easily manipulated, and we want your TSMC. We've got to set up in Arizona. We can't let the Chinese get this. Let's set up a company, TSMC company in Arizona, and they can manufacture all the chips in Arizona, and it'll be safe in the United States. What do you think? As soon as they've got that up and running, and they figure it's in 2025, how important is Taiwan now? Sure, it's a strategically important island between Japan and the Philippines, right off the coast of China, but it's not strategically important enough to go to war against China on behalf of the province of Taiwan, which was and is and will be a part of China if it wasn't for the manipulation and interference of the American government and military in 1949. They know it's coming back to China. China is getting larger. Their military is getting stronger. They're getting richer. Their day is coming. And the Americans can see that. They understand that. They know they're not going to be able, if China says we're going to take Taiwan by force, they know they're not going to be able to stop them. They're not even going to try. Why? Because it would cost too much. It wouldn't be politically correct. They would lose boys and girls, military men and women, the sons and daughters that they don't. It would cost too much. It would be an embarrassment because the Chinese would probably win because you're right close to China. It's all of these different things, and everybody knows that. The Chinese know it, the Taiwanese know it, but they'll sell the Taiwanese weapons to make it look good. They'll talk a big game, but then you get Blinken going in saying, "Oh no, the one China policy is right there, and this is."
On Taiwan, I reiterated the long-standing U.S. one China policy. That policy has not changed. It's guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, the 6 assurances. We do not support Taiwan independence. We remain opposed to any unilateral changes to the status quo by either side. We continue to expect the peaceful resolution of cross-strait differences.
It's all of that and more, and nobody in the political world in Taiwan sees it, just like nobody in the Ukraine political world sees it, like nobody in the South Vietnamese political world that sees it. Just like the Syrian and the Kurds, they didn't see it. Well, how dumb do you have to get? Like, what is that, George Bush? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, they're not put in these positions because they're that intelligent. They're put in these positions because they're popular. There's other people running it, and it's not the politicians. It's the corporations. It's the military-industrial complex. It's all of that and more manipulating these people. Maybe it's all about the money that all of these politicians are getting rich, billions of dollars. You send billions of dollars to the Ukraine. How much is siphoned off and put in little accounts for people? You see it, don't you? Anyway, after they're done with Taiwan, it'll be another Kurd. It'll be another South Vietnam. It'll be another Afghanistan. It'll be another Ukraine. It'll be Taiwan this time. So with that in mind, that's my rant for the day, guys and girls. If you like this rant, as always, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button. Don't forget to resubscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell. Put a couple bucks in the Patreon account. And until next time, peace out. Bye now.